Hey VC, it's Joel coming at you from Planet 13, and this is my pickup video for August and September of 2021. I only put out a video a month and I skipped August. There's a couple of reasons I only do a video a month, and why I skipped August. One reason I do a video a month is I have another channel. It's a channel where I review Scooby-Doo episodes, and I wear a silly wig and have a white lab coat on and pretend to be like a professor. I don't do a good imitation. It's not a channel worth checking out, but it's got a pretty good strong following, and those videos, they take me 10 to 20 hours. I don't put a lot of production into them, but it's a lot of editing, what I do. And I'm not even going to share the link below. If you really want to find it, you'll be able to find it probably. But yeah, that takes 20 hours, I guess, a week of my time. And then I spend a lot of time responding to comments on that. So yeah, that's kind of why I've kind of fell off the vinyl wagon a bit, but I still try and put out a video a month. And another reason is it was August and I took a vacation. I went away. Went on a sailing trip. Every year I go on a little sailing trip with my buddy. He bought a boat about 5 years ago with the intent to move into the sailboat and sell his house with his wife. But his wife, it turns out, she gets seasick easily, so it was a no-go, and he kept the boat, and they kept the house. And the boat basically sits abandoned most of the time, but I have kind of free reign over it as long as he's with me. Otherwise, I'd take complete advantage of him, and I'd be sailing all the time, so I made the deal that, yeah, I'll take the boat out as long as you're with me at all times, just so I don't get greedy, because I would. I'd totally be on that thing all the time. I'd be living on it, and I don't think that's fair to him. So yeah, we take it out usually a lot in the summer nights after work and just have fun in like Ontario. And usually we try and get out once or twice a year to the Thousand Islands in Ontario, Laurentian River, and near Kingston. We kind of make our way up there. Just take our time, no plan, no agenda. And we just kind of explore the islands and just go places where no one's really been that often. So it's a lot of fun, and that took 2 weeks, so I'm not going to buy any vinyl then. September, my credit card had some fraud. Just the start of September, I had all these pre-orders set up, dirt cheap pre-orders, had to cancel them all, and then the prices just doubled. And yeah, I didn't pick up those vinyl albums, unfortunately. So yeah, I saw things for like 21 bucks, and now they're like 47, $48. Just absurd. And yeah, with credit card fraud, it's not a big deal. You're just without a credit card for a while because they have to mail you a new one, and they have to investigate the fraud. And you see this charge of like 9 grand that someone made, which was what happened with me. Someone made 9 grand worth of online purchases, and it got fixed kind of quick. Like it took about, yeah, I'd say about 2 weeks before the charges disappeared off my account. I wasn't worried about it. The credit card company is like, yeah, don't worry, this happens all the time. But it's still a little bit stressful. And then you don't have a credit card to buy stuff. And I could buy stuff on debit. Like that's no problem. But with debit, you don't have like the same kind of protection you have with a credit card. With the credit card, you're spending the bank's money. They're going to take care of you a little bit better. With a debit card, they kind of, they're not as fast. The response time isn't as fast. So, and another reason, when I go shopping with my debit card for vinyl, I end up spending more than I want to if I go into a shop because I'm like, I'm finally in a shop and there's some good stuff that it might not appear again. I'm going to spend $100, $200, right? And yeah, so you kind of have to avoid that. But yeah, I think you all get the gist. You probably all have kind of the same feelings. Vinyl is very addictive. Anyway, I've jibber jabbered enough. I'm going to get on to what I bought. So first album I picked up, shouldn't be a big surprise. This was a big release. It's Metallica, full glare, lots of glare. I haven't taken off the shiny bits because I want to maintain the sticker. Yeah, this is the Black Album, and this is the reissue, and yeah, pretty good release. Only disappointment is it's not a gatefold. I don't know if it has to be a gatefold. What are you going to do? You're going to open it up and you're just going to see a bunch more black, I guess, maybe. It wasn't that expensive. Polyline sleeves, black vinyl, basic label, 2 albums, sounds good. What I'm going to say isn't controversial or anything. A lot of people consider this album overrated. And, yeah, lyrics and everything. And I don't consider it overrated. I think it deserves all of its accolades. but I do think it's a mediocre album. It's not their best for me. If it's the best for you, that's great. For me, I just found it very kind of meat and potatoes, just kind of, like they were very technical players before, and this is just simple stuff, and it works in the live setting, and it works for a lot of people. I remember when this came out in 1991, it was in everyone's car. Every car you went into, they had this. They had Queen's Greatest Hits 1 and 2, and they had Nevermind, and you could always guarantee that. You probably had Achtung Baby by U2, maybe Guns N' Roses, maybe something by Bon Jovi, but yeah, this would be in everyone's car. It would always be a staple. You'd play it while you're driving. It was good driving music. Amazing stuff live. It works live. It really gets you in the mood. But as an album, not my favorite, but I'm still going to play it once in a while. I've only had this before on cassette. I skipped the CD era for it because I was like, why am I going to get on a CD? I have these songs burned in my head, and I kind of forgot about some of these songs over time. So yeah, that's why I picked this up, and it's worth picking up. I liked it. Second of what I picked up, again, not a big surprise. This is a big reissue or release. Ozzy Osbourne, No More Tears. This is a gatefold. This is expensive. Like I think it was, I think I paid 39 Canadian for it, which is, that'd be about like 30 American. So I expected a little bit more with the packaging, but you just get these black sleeves, which aren't polylined, so that's a bit of a disappointment. I just want the polyline sleeves. Call me cheap, but I just want to protect the music, not make it sound crackly. And yeah, so yeah, that's spurred it over to vinyl. I like this album a lot. It could be my favorite Ozzy album due to nostalgia. I think this came out in 92, and I just remember buying it on cassette, and I read a lot of comic books back then. And all those Marvel movies you see now, all those stories were in the comics back then, like that whole Thanos stuff. I was reading that while listening to Ozzy at the same time. Just a fun summer for me, reading comics, listening to Ozzy, going to school, walking to school, listening to Ozzy. So a lot of sentimental value. So I'm on this tour with Alice in Chains opening. The lead singer of Alice in Chains had a broken foot at the time, so he's in a wheelchair. And he got excited, and he got out of his wheelchair at one point. And yeah, it was a good tour. And it was great to see Ozzy for one of my first shows. So yeah, a lot of nostalgia. My favorite album, probably not his best, but yeah, nostalgia. And I think the songs are pretty solid. Next album I picked up, I had never heard really before. I bought this based off of Darcy at Six Strings, and it's Sabotage. So this is an album I did have to cancel the pre-order because of credit card fraud. And then I was worried the price would shoot up, and it did. And then it came back down, so I picked it up. I'd been listening in the meantime after Darcy recommended to it on Spotify. Really enjoyed it. But really, what really sold me on it is really good packaging. Mine's a little bit dented up from Amazon. They stopped mailing things in boxes, and they just do like vinyl bags now to save on shipping costs, I guess, and save the environment a bit, even though it's plastic, can't recycle it. But yeah, Sabotage, good inner sleeve, lots of notes. Haven't read them yet. Really enjoyed what I heard on Spotify. Cool packaging with the sleeves. This is on like a transparent, I guess, blue. Really cool. I really enjoyed this album. And yeah, that's their first album. I guess they're reissuing everything. I don't know if I'm going to get everything. I'll keep an eye on what Darcy recommends on his channel and what other people recommend as well. Other people have been recommending this album too. And then I picked up their third album, Savatage, The Dungeons Are Calling. So this is a continuation. The way Darcy explained it to me is that they had enough music for the first album, and they recorded this at the same time, but they decided to split it into two. So this is an EP. This actually costs a little more than the full album. And I'll explain maybe why it costs a little more later, but yeah, you get cool gatefold with information, which I never really read, and I always intend to read, and I probably will read eventually, but I'm just excited to play the music, I guess, that I never get around to it. But yeah, transparent red. And yeah, this came with a 7-inch, which I'm about to show. And yeah, so this is 3 songs on here: City Beneath the Surface, Sirens, and The Whip. And yeah, I'm enjoying this. I've heard it more on Spotify than I have on vinyl. This just arrived this week for me. And I was just waiting for that price to come back down again. My local stores did not carry it. And when I saw it online at record shops, it was in the $40 range. So I paid 25 Canadian for both, around there when you average it out. I think one was like 28, one was like 23. And yeah, this was 28. The other one was $23. So yeah, picked those two up. Very happy. And recommend them if you're a fan of the band. Next album I picked up is Dio, Master of the Moon. I'm not a completist, but I'm trying to get all the Dio albums. So the last one I need, it's his best one, Holy Diver. I still cannot find that. Now they are releasing a picture disc for Record Store Day. I'm tempted to maybe get it, but I don't like the noise in between tracks. I know picture discs have come a long way, but the noise between tracks, I don't like it. Call me superficial, but I can't stand it. So I'll probably pass on it. And maybe wait again for another reissue that's not picture disc. Yeah, this is Gatefold. And this doesn't have I forget the name of it, but the cover that moves. This didn't come with that. This is the reissue of the reissue. So these ones don't come with that cover, 3D cover, which I'm okay with. It was $5 cheaper than the one with the 3D cover, so I'm cool with it. Not many people love this album because it's slower Dio, it's darker Dio, less songs about dragons and rainbows and more about dreams and death, I guess, and moons. So yeah, I like this album quite a bit. Not my favorite. Again, I'm not a completionist for most bands, but I really miss Dio. And I like his voice a lot, and it's just interesting to me to get this. And I will listen to this, a couple times a year, so it's not wasted money for me. And I'm happy to have it. And then at the same time, I picked up his final album, Magica. So this is a double vinyl. And yeah, look at that wall of text. A lot of that isn't lyrics. A lot of that's like the story. So on side D of the album, side D, and here are the center labels. Side D is just Dio reading a story for like 20 minutes, and it didn't really work for me, but the rest of the album is fantastic. Like, I think if Dio released that storytelling with Dio in the 70s, it might have been a little bit better. Maybe the 80s, maybe early 80s would have worked, but he released this, I think, in the year 2000. And by then, like, Napster was a thing, and internet was a thing, and yeah, no one really had the time, I guess, to maybe listen to it. I don't know anyone who likes the storytelling time with Dio. It sounds cool in concept, but you might disagree with me, and I hope someone out there does love it. But for me, I'll probably never listen to that side again. But yeah, this is split over two albums. This is on black. There's a little hype sticker that came with it. Again, no lenticular cover. I finally remembered the word for it. No lenticular cover. But you also got darker, slower Dio. And I don't mind darker, slower Dio. And this is something I will listen to probably a couple times a year. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I don't necessarily recommend it. But if you like Dio, you like his other material, you're cool with the slower Dio, the moodier Dio, totally get it. And yeah, this came with a 7-inch of a track. I think it was intended for his follow-up to that album, but he never did a follow-up to it. I think by then he moved on to the Heaven and Hell band. And yeah, there's just one track on here, both sides, and it is, what was it now? Electra. Yeah, Electra. So yeah, cool album. Next album I picked up, and I picked this up for 17 Canadian dollars, which is like 12 American. And now I look on Discogs and on online stores near me for local record stores that are selling online. It's going for $54. Unbelievable. I don't know why. Ministry 12-inch singles, 1981 to 1984. So this is early Ministry. I love the song Every Day is Halloween. You'll never find it on like Ministry's greatest hits for some reason. So it's just like one of my favorite songs by Ministry. And so I bought it for that reason. I have this on CD though. And yeah, you get a nice gatefold. So it's quite the deal at like 17 Canadian, right? And split over 2 albums. Nothing fancy. It's on silver vinyl. And yeah, nothing fancy, just your basic kind of center labels. But yeah, good album. Dancey, more dancey Ministry, less heroin Ministry, I guess. Less Ministry went really dark, like after Psalm 69. And Psalm 69 is a dark album, but after that they went like heroin drip. Just so dark, which I like, but yeah, cool album. Next, I picked up Whitesnake, the blues album. This went on sale on Amazon for 28 Canadian, which is like 22 American. I'm just throwing out numbers. I don't know the math exactly. But yeah, 2 albums. So four sides, right? And this is the blue. Oh, the album's kind of embossed too. So the letters, you can feel it. It's got texture to it. They're raised lettering. There's all the tracks. So they released a Love album, which they called the Red album, a White album, which I guess is a rock album, and the Blues album, which is blue. And I forget if this is on color vinyl or not. Yeah, it is. It's on blue vinyl. Surprise, surprise. And yeah, very cool. And everything's re-recorded. So I guess they took out maybe a lot of the keyboards. And I think a lot of bands, if they don't have the rights to their albums, they re-record it as well, I think. So then they have the rights again and make sales off this. Because I know Jeff was showing Gish by Smashing Pumpkins, and it's the 30th anniversary, and they didn't re-release it on vinyl. And people were asking Billy Corgan about it, and he's like, yeah, I don't own the rights. You have to ask the record label, which is, I think, Universal or maybe Warner. I think it's Universal. So yeah, a lot of bands are re-recording some things. I know Taylor Swift is. And with Kiss, with Sonic Boom, I don't think they own the rights to that, or a lot of their vinyl. So that's why you don't see a lot of stuff from Kiss coming out, except maybe these, I think they're trying to get on the trend now with the bootleg albums. Maybe they get a better kickback with those. I don't know. I'm just talking out of my wazoo, right? I don't really know for sure. Someone else probably knows out there and can fill me in if I'm incorrect or whatever. Next album I picked up, this one was dirt cheap again as well. 15 Canadian off of Amazon, Let There Be Rock by AC/DC. AC/DC is another band I want to get everything I think up to Razor's Edge. I have a lot of nostalgia for early AC/DC, which isn't that early, I guess. It was 20 years of earliness. I like both eras, with Brian Scott and Bon Scott and Brian Johnson. And I like the packaging on this. You always get like a nice kind of inner sleeve with lots of stuff to read, which I'll never read until a few years later down the road probably. I should get on that. There's only so much time in the day, when you're listening to vinyl, there's just a lot to do. But yeah, I like to have that to read later on in life, right? When I'm retired, maybe. But yeah, cool album. Big tracks off here are Whole Lotta Rosie and Problem Child, which I don't believe was on like certain releases. I think in Australia, Problem Child had a different song. But yeah, a lot of fun. A lot, again, driving around to this as a teen, listening to this. I just love that album. Not their best, but it's still good AC/DC. Next album I picked up, Circle Jerks. I bought this because of Vinyl Richie. He was showing it. And he was showing the booklet that came with it, which is like, it's either like 20 or 40 pages. It's a big booklet. And it's got lots of interviews and cool stuff in it. And yeah, this was only like, I think I picked it up for 18 Canadian. Yeah, there's just some samples
6 p.m. Saturday in Hamilton on.
My phone's listening to me. I guess I asked it a question somehow. So yeah, so cool stuff going on in there. And custom inner sleeve. This is on black. No splatter vinyl or anything like that. And yeah, what did I want to point out? This isn't I get why they included the big booklet, because the tracks on here, if you read it, a lot of the songs are only like a minute to maybe a minute and a half. So they aren't very long songs. So you're only getting like 7 minutes each side or 8 minutes each side. So I can understand why they included the 20-page booklet. Yeah, it's 20-page booklet. I'm reading the hype sticker now. 40th anniversary, 20-page booklet. I got 3 more albums to show. This one, Deathproof, Quentin Tarantino. This is a cool looking vinyl. It's tricolor. I'll probably use it as my thumbnail. Yeah, tricolor, red, black, and white. Kind of transparent, whitish, clearish. And if you know Tarantino, you know he has good soundtracks. And it's usually a mix of scores, movie chatter, and cool, hip songs that were popular in a bygone era. So, yeah, I instantly got hooked on the Tarantino soundtrack with Reservoir Dogs. I remember watching that on VHS before Pulp Fiction came out, and I just remember how awesome the music was. Stuck in the Middle with You is like the most famous, but there was that Lime and the Coconut song and a few others. And had that cool, like, that guy, that comedian, I forget his name, Stephen Wright, I think that's his name. He was doing the interludes in between. So this came out on vinyl. It's not like the greatest quality. I think it's all digital, so not transferred properly to vinyl, but it's a good listen. Dirt cheap. This came after I got my new credit card, so I didn't have to cancel my pre-order. But the other one I did have to cancel was for Jackie Brown, which is a little more soulish, a little more funkish, and yeah, the prices for that right now are just outrageous. Another soundtrack I picked up is The Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Exorcist 2 is an awful movie. Don't recommend you watch it. But I'll always love the soundtrack, and it's done by Ennio Morricone, the famous Italian composer. And this is pretty bare bones. Came on like a Vomit Green, I guess. Center label Jackpot Records, but yeah, and there's nothing inside to show other than it's got like it's got a bit of a pattern on it. Like looks like a thumbprint or something. But I love this score, so I picked it up. I paid a lot of money for it. You always have to for these horror movie scores. I think this cost me 38 Canadian. So we're looking at like 30 American. And the final album. This is from Wax Trax Records. It's Friday the 13th Part 7. It's the score, but there are some kind of rockish songs on here as well. I have all the other ones except Part 7 by them. So this is Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. This is pretty cool. I'm going to show you. It's like a die cut sleeve here. So yeah, you can slide Jason out. And then this would be the inner sleeve. Wax Trax now ships all their albums with MoFi sleeves, which is very nice of them. So yeah, the center label is there. This is on like a goldish, colorblind again, so greenish, goldish. It's Toxic Waste, so I guess it's green. So that, yeah, it's pressed on that color, and then there's a second album in here as well, which I'll show, because they always, this is about the same as the Ozzy album, and yeah, just comparing like what you get with this compared to the Ozzy. You get cool center labels. This one's like if you look at it, it's like a transit map of New York, but it's Jason's hockey mask kind of outlined, which I thought was very cool. And this is all like on a pink. I don't know why I say the color, because you can probably tell the color better than me. I'm colorblind. And yeah, what do we got in here? I don't know. That one just came, it didn't come in its own sleeve. It just came in MoFi's sleeve, I guess. Yeah, so you get the die cut cover. We slide Jason out. There's the centerfold, or whatever you call it now. Can't remember. And yeah, there's the track listing. And yeah, it's a fun album. I listen to these soundtracks a lot. I'm back at work in the office, but we're on a hybrid schedule. So I spend 2 days at home, plus weekends listening to vinyl. So I spend a lot of time listening to vinyl at work, or at work, at home. And I also switched to listening to CDs. And man, I prefer vinyl for sure. I mean, CDs are nice because you can sit for a while, but 20 minutes sides is just perfect for work because you just kind of get into the moment, go flip the side, come back, get back into the moment. You have that quick 30-second break. Or a CD, it's like 80 minutes. You're just kind of sitting there for like 4 times as long. You're like, when can I stand up again? Anyway, I've said enough. I'm going to shut up. Thank you for watching if you watched. And until next time, cheers.